Stasis subclasses have been struggling since the launch of Lightfall. The new build crafting system removed a couple of mods that were critical to the way our old Stasis builds used to function. Luckily, Bungie is aware of this and they are adding a new armor mod next season that will greatly help all of our Stasis builds, but we'll go over that later in the video. In the meantime, a lot of us are wondering what the best ways are currently to create a functioning Stasis build. Today we'll be going over Stasis Hunter and updating it to function in Lightfall. My name is Gray. If you enjoyed today's video, a like and sub is greatly appreciated. Now let's get into it. There's a couple of different ways you can build Stasis Hunter depending on your exotic armor. The Renewal Grasp exotic arms allows us to play defensively with our Duskfield grenades and tons of damage resist. The Frosty's exotic legs lets us go all out with our abilities to freeze and control our enemies. And the Mask of Bakris exotic helmet lets us take a more offensive route with building into increased weapon damage. I've seen some incredible builds from other creators going over Renewal and Frosty's, so for this build we'll be focusing on Mask of Bakris. This exotic helmet has the perk Light Shift. This replaces our dodge with a longer range shift. After dodging, our arc weapons will deal 10% increased damage, as well as an additional 10% increased damage to any slowed or frozen enemies. This buff lasts for 10 seconds, and these effects do stack with each other, as well as any other damage increasing sources as well. This allows you to use your grenade or melee to slow or freeze an enemy, and then combo with a dodge to deal a total 20% increased damage to them when using an arc weapon. There's a lot of different ways to take advantage of this. By using arc special and heavy weapons, we can greatly boost their damage output, and you can pair that with arc weapon surges on your armor to push that damage increase even further. While this method is great for pumping out huge single target damage, it can make the build feel a bit one-dimensional, as if we're putting all of our eggs into one basket. To make the build feel much more well-rounded, I recommend taking Stasis weapon surge mods instead and pairing them with the Ager's Scepter exotic trace rifle in our kinetic slot. This is the only Stasis trace rifle in the game, and it has the perk Ager's Call. Final blows with this weapon create a slowing burst of stasis around the defeated target. This burst will actually freeze most targets after a few seconds, giving us additional shatter damage as well. Any stasis final blow will reload the weapon, and when our super is full, the catalyst allows us to convert our super into a long period of highly increased damage from the weapon that slows and freezes on contact instead of just on kill. Ager's Scepter is extremely strong, and when paired with stasis weapon surges and the 10% increase to slowed or frozen targets from Bakris, it can do some serious damage at nearly all times. Since the Silence and Squall super really isn't that great, this allows us to use our super energy in a much more offensive way. I like to run a double special weapon loadout here and continue to use an arc special weapon like the iterative loop fusion rifle with lead from gold and demolitionist, so that we can utilize Mask of Bakris to its full potential, regenerate our grenades, and get free ammo from heavy bricks, which drop constantly when using a double special weapon loadout. Our armor mods will allow us to generate tons of special ammo, so you'll never have to worry about running out of ammo either. This setup allows us to split the difference between the Mask of Bakris damage increase and our Stasis weapon surge mods, but none of it matters if our subclass isn't set up properly. Starting with our class ability, I recommend the Gambler's Dodge. Mask of Bakris makes our class ability cooldown the same regardless of which dodge we are using, and we'll be utilizing our melee ability quite often with our armor mods, so this will help us maintain momentum. Our first aspect will be Touch of Winter. Your Glacier, Duskfield, and Cold Snap grenades have enhanced functionality. We will be using the Duskfield grenade, and this aspect increases the size of the slow field and creates a small stasis crystal inside. That crystal will synergize with our fragments that we'll go over in just a moment. Our second aspect will be Grim Harvest. Defeating slowed or frozen targets creates stasis shards. These shards grant melee energy when picked up by you or your allies. Pre-Lightfall, we used to pair this with the mod Elemental Shards, which would allow us to use these stasis shards as elemental wells to power our build. Currently, this function is not in the game, but like we said at the beginning of the video, Bungie is adding a new mod known as Elemental Charges next season, which will allow our stasis shards to grant us stacks of armor charge, which will improve this build even further. These two aspects together give us 5 fragment slots to fill, and we will start with Whisper of Chains. While you are near frozen targets or a friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets. We are constantly freezing targets and creating crystals from our grenades, making this fragment easy to take advantage of. Next will be Whisper of Shards. Shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional crystals extends the duration of the buff. This greatly improves our grenade regen, so whenever you throw a dusk field, be sure to shatter the crystal inside to activate this fragment. Third will be Whisper of Durance. Slow from your abilities last longer, and for abilities that linger, their duration is also increased. This extends the duration of our Duskfield grenade and any slow effects that we apply. Fourth will be Whisper of Refraction. Defeating slowed or frozen targets grants you class ability energy. This just makes sense with Mask of Bakris, and while you won't gain energy for your dodge while the buff is active, it will help reduce the window of us not having our dodge available. Finally, we will take Whisper of Rhyme, where collecting a stasis shard grants a small amount of overshield or healing if you are not at full health. The overshield lasts for 10 seconds, but can be extended by collecting additional shards. This adds a ton of survivability when paired with the damage reduction from Whisper of Chains as well. Everything we covered today will set you up with a fantastic layout for the Mask of Bakris Stasis Hunter, but in order to really take this build as far as possible, it's important to utilize every single mod slot on our armor as optimally as possible. That begins with taking both Arc Siphon and Harmonic Siphon on our helmet, Heavy Handed on our arms, and Reaper on our class item. These mods will allow us to generate orbs from any of our weapon multi-kills, from our powered melee final blows, and from our next weapon kill after activating our class ability, which in this instance is Mask of Bakris. Next, we take Charged Up on our chest to allow us to carry up to 4 stacks of armor charge. This is very important to have to make the rest of the loop seamless. We then take 2 copies of Stasis Weapon Surge, which will grant Ager's Scepter a 17% damage increase at nearly all times. We also want to take Special Finisher. This consumes 3 stacks of armor charge to create a special ammo brick whenever we perform a finisher. Since we are able to have 4 stacks of armor charge, we can still maintain our Stasis Weapon Surge even when we need to spend 3 charges for special ammo. To go along with that, you'll want to take Stasis Reserves on your chest and Stasis Scavenger on your legs to make things even easier in the ammo department. Heavy Ammo Finder on our helmet will generate tons of heavy ammo bricks since we are using 2 special weapons, which greatly increases our chance for heavy ammo to drop. We then take Impact Induction and Focusing Strike on our arms, which will allow our melee ability to generate ability energy for both our grenade and class ability. Since Stasis Hunter has 2 melee charges by default, and we are also using Gambler's Dodge, this allows our melee to generate tons of ability energy as well as orbs of power. Finally, we take Time Dilation on our class item to increase the duration of our armor charge stacks up to 15 seconds each. Round this out with any stats and resist mods that you deem necessary and you'll be good to go. I recommend targeting 100 resilience first and then pushing mobility and discipline as high as you can, with mobility taking priority. Down in the description of the video, you will find a dim loadout link that will set up all of the aspects, fragments, and mods automatically for you with a single click. As a reward for making it this far into the video, I want to inform you that it has also been all but confirmed that Mask of Bakris is getting a buff next season. Bungie has confirmed over 15 exotic armor pieces are getting buffed, and there is a leaked list of what those buffs will be floating around the internet. That list is basically confirmed at this point, and Mask of Bakris will see its damage increase buffed from 10% all the way up to 25%, although it will no longer stack with weapon surge mods. That won't be an issue for us since we have properly set ourselves up here today to isolate the Bakris buff apart from our stasis weapon surges. A little foresight goes a long way here. If you enjoyed today's video, a like and sub is greatly appreciated. We are so close to 30k subs, so thank you for the support, and I will see you in the next one.